the view is that conclusive justification or conclusive arguments, conclusive justification isn't required for knowledge. I can know something even if my justification isn't infallible, or even if the support for it isn't infallible or certain. You know what I mean? Do you understand now?
I think I do understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you agree or not?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, let me give you my argument for it. Let me just paste it in the side chat. See it there. You see it?
Yeah.
Which premise do you deny?
Okay, it would be P2.
Oh, you think there's a belief that is supported by infallible justification? Oh,
Yeah.
and just to be clear, I must make the point that by knowledge here I mean justified true belief. Do you accept this view of
Yeah.
knowledge? Okay, yeah. So just keep that in mind that I'm on that this argument is given the assumption of justified true belief, because some people might have some different view of knowledge. You understand? So on my view, knowledge is literally, you cannot separate knowledge from belief. So that's why premise one is some beliefs are knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So what? Okay, I guess you reject premise two. Fine. What belief would you say is supported by infallible justification?
For example, true is the opposite of false.
Uh, True is the opposite of false. Are you talking about like the law of excluded middle? Either something is either P or not P.
Yep.
I don't believe in I don't believe in laws of logic. So if I do believe in them, I don't believe that there isn't a correct law of logic. So I'm a logical pluralist. So I don't believe in objective or universal laws of logic. So
Okay.
I wouldn't agree with that.
But for your
I don't
argument,
believe in the yeah
yeah. But
yeah
for your argument to follow, that depends on universal laws of logic.
no, because the reason why that doesn't depend on universal laws of logic is because so take for instance this argument. This is a categorical syllogism. It's an inference rule. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a logical law that you said, but just because the argument follows in this instance, that doesn't mean it follows in all instances. So I would might have some counterexamples to this, like syllogism. Does that make sense? So in just the same way, I'm a Dialetheist. Some contradictions are true, not all. So just because there is a contradiction, just because some contradictions are true, not all are true. So yeah, that wouldn't matter. So that's why I'm saying I don't believe in universal laws of logic. That's why I said I'm a logical pluralist. Yeah. Does that make sense? No? Yeah.
I think I understand the claim.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like I'm being particularist from which so like even model exponents doesn't isn't like valid. It doesn't follow in all instances. Yeah. That's what it means to say that the argument is valid. When you say it's valid, you're saying that the argument guarantees the truth of the conclusion. But the problem here is that I think that there are counter examples to any particular syllogistic or logical law or whatever you want to call them, inference rule or whatever. Yeah, I think that so. But the point is that I can still say that okay, setting aside those like cases where you might think that there are paradoxes or whatever, it does follow. But notice now, once I'm saying that you can't say that the argument necessarily follows. You see what I mean? Because there are instances where it doesn't.
So
So that's the
these
point.
counterexamples, you're saying that the
Yeah.
logical laws wouldn't apply to the counterexamples?
Well, what I'm saying is that I'm saying there are valid counter examples to any particular law of logic that I would think,
But valid,
because a
valid.
law is something that holds in complete generality, and I'm saying there are examples to it. So I'm saying the law is actually just restricted. Does that make sense? So it doesn't necessarily follow. Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah.
When you say valid, that just means that it's following some logical system.
To say it's valid is to say that the premises could not be true without the conclusion being true. Um, that's what it is impossible for the premises to be true and the conclusion to be
Is it the other way
not true.
around? It's the
Does that make
conclusion.
sense?
The conclusion is
Yeah,
a
but the point I'm trying, but I'm trying to say, but what I'm saying here is that um, what I'm saying here is that that is going to fail. The reason why that's going to fail is because I don't think that the argument is technically valid. Because to say that the argument is valid is to say that it's impossible for it to fail. Um, that, well, what I'm saying here is that okay, the argument might follow, like it might follow, but there isn't any. It's not as if the it is true in virtue of some like logical law. Like the argument doesn't follow because there is some actual valid law. Does that make sense? Because there are counterexamples to that law. Even though the argument might follow, um, the since it doesn't hold in all cases, um, it isn't going to be valid. You might say it's quasi valid, where to say that something is quasi valid is to say that it holds in some instances, but not others. Does that make sense?
but
So that's what
yeah.
I'm saying.
But what we were talking about
Yeah.
was the laws of logic, right? Not just the arguments. I mean, the arguments cannot
Yes, the
follow
laws of
because
logic. That is
yeah,
what I'm talking about. Yes, that is
right.
what I'm talking about.
Because you were
Why
saying
don't you
before
understand?
argument, you were saying the argument before, right? But the argument can differ
Yeah.
in terms of the premises. But when you're talking about the laws, um,
Yes.
like an argument can only be true if it's included within the system of laws, right? So if to say that something is true is to say that it's included within a domain, but the domain is defined by the laws.
What I'm saying is the laws. I'm saying the laws are not universal. Does that make sense? So there are counter examples to it.
Well,
Any law that you might give, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the law is not universal.
well, I would say that it is because if it's not universal, then whatever is outside of that universality is going to be just unintelligible. It just doesn't have a truth value.
No, that's not what that means. So take for instance, the law of non-contradiction. I might say that there are some true contradictions, but that doesn't mean that all contradictions are true. You understand what I'm saying?
I wouldn't say that any contradictions are
Yeah.
true. Contradiction implies falsehood.
No, I understand that's what you would say. I'm just saying that's what I'm saying. Like I'm telling you my view. I'm saying that just because some contradictions are true, that doesn't mean that every contradiction is true.
To
Does
say
that
that a
make sense?
contradiction is true is to say that it's included within a system, but a contradiction itself means to
No,
disobey
that's
the
not what
rules
I
of the
mean.
system.
No, 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 that's not what I mean by something being true. To say something is true is to say that it matches the facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Sorry, can I
you were
ask
A
just
how a
proposition.
contradiction can be true?
so you were just talking about a
Wait, before
contradiction being true.
before you come
Sorry,
in,
sorry.
like don't just. That's very rude. I'm not like doing that. So God exists. You understand what I'm saying?
You said that a contradiction might be true, and I'm saying for a contradiction to be
Yes.
true would mean for
Yes.
it to follow the rules of a system, but that's definitionally what a contradiction is
There are
not.
different laws. There's different logical systems. So there's power consistent logic. So power consistent logic would include logics that can hold contradictions.
Yeah, but it doesn't make
So that's the
sense
point I'm saying. Why does it make sense?
because the very idea that something is both true and
Okay, so
false.
you understand that there's different logics. Like there's different logical systems where different laws are. I'm a logical pluralist. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's any fact of the matter about which um logical system is correct. I'm not a logical monist, which is to say there is a correct logical system.
Yeah, but my claim would be that the mere existence of different systems doesn't contradict monism. So it's the idea that the monist.
I wasn't making an argument for logical pluralism. I didn't give an argument. So yeah, obviously the mere existence of other logical system does not contradict logical monism. But why are you giving a response as if I were giving you an argument? I wasn't saying that the reason why logical pluralism exists is true is because there are many other logical systems. So you're just like strawman in my view. I didn't make that argument. I'm just explaining my view.
But yet you asked me if I understood, so I was responding that I
Yeah,
I agree.
I Actually, if you understand logical pluralism, I wasn't giving an argument for it.
Yeah, but you asked me if I understood what you meant, so I'm saying yeah, I understand what the
Okay,
pluralism is,
okay, so
but
you
that doesn't
understand that
contradict.
logical pluralism is a view on the table. You understand that?
Yeah, but I'm going to explain it in terms
Okay.
of, there are some logical systems that won't work because monism is true ultimately. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay, I understand that's your assertion. I disagree. I
Thank
don't
you.
think that logical monism is true. So I don't care about what you have to say up to that because I'm just going to I'm just going to tell you what it is.
Yeah, well,
So
what I'm going to say is that monism will entail that truth means inclusion within a
I under-
domain. So if you hold
I
to
understand what
paraconsistency,
monism means,
if
bro. I'm not
if
a logical monist,
if
so that doesn't matter to me.
if you hold
So
to
that's I don't know
paraconsistency,
what you. I'm not going to get.
you're
Okay.
saying that some statement is both true and false, but that means that it's both included and excluded from the system, which doesn't make sense.
That wouldn't matter under a power consistent system because a power consistent system already allows contradictions. So
Yeah,
unless you're
well,
begging the
no,
question
it
against
just doesn't.
dialetheism.
Well, no, it just doesn't make sense because if you come up with a
Okay, yeah, but
contradiction,
that's begging the question
if
though.
no,
You,
if you
you
come up with a
understand that?
contradiction in
Yeah,
a
it is. Yes,
paraconsistent
it
system,
is.
you're saying it's both inside and outside the paraconsistent system, which is a contradiction, right?
Yeah, and that's fine because I accept contradictions. It seems like you're just begging the question against. It seems like you're begging the question against. It seems like you're begging the question against Dialetheism. So Dialetheism is a view that some contradictions are true. And when you're saying that some contradictions are true, to say, oh, the reason why dialetheism is false is because there is some contradictions. Well, that's just to beg the question against the dialetheists,
Well,
because
I'm
that's
saying more than that.
precisely what dialetheism entails.
I'm
So it
saying
seems
more.
like you're just begging the question.
What I'm saying is more
So
than that. I'm saying that if you hold to
okay, can you
paraconsistency,
understand what? Can we
and
just agree that what you're doing is begging the question? Can we
well,
just
no,
agree
it's
with
not
that?
because you're not listening to the whole of what I'm saying.
Do you understand what begging the question
Can you just let him
Yeah,
talk,
involves?
man?
Yeah.
yeah, I know what it is, but what I'm telling you is that
Okay,
if
so
you're,
then why are you not like responding to what I'm saying? Because
I
you're saying
am.
that my view is false because it is a contradiction. That's what you said,
Well,
right?
you're not listening to the
Can we
whole of what I'm
address that
saying.
first before we go anywhere?
No,
Because you said that
no, you're
my
not listening to the
system,
whole of what I'm saying.
I'm a dialetheist. You understand? So I think that some contradictions are true. So to say that my view is false
Wow.
because because it entails contradictions is just to beg the question because that's
No,
what
it's
my view
not
entails.
because a
Yes.
contradiction is a logical
Okay.
fallacy that you can't do in reality.
Okay. Why is this guy chimping in? I don't know why. I'm not talking to you, Tom Stick. Like, can you sit back?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize this was a private room. Do you want to have a conversation with other
Well,
people or
this
just
is
the two
my
of you?
view. This is my room, though. Yeah, actually. So.
Okay, so am I? If I'm not allowed to speak, tell me I'm not allowed to speak, and I'll leave. Like that's simple as that, brother. No big deal. If you want to have a
I just
conversation,
wanted you to wait on your turn. It's not that I don't want you to speak. It's that you're just jumping into the conversation with me and God
okay.
exists.
Well, all right.
Okay. So, yeah, I can give an example of a true contradiction. This statement is true and this statement is false. That would be my example of a true contradiction. Um, you know,
What? Wait.
Can
yeah.
you repeat that?
Can you repeat that?
This statement is true and this statement is false. That would be the example of a true contradiction.
That's
So
not.
So it's both included
it's
and
like
excluded
That's
by
a
the system.
contradiction.
it's
That's
like
what a contradiction.
it's like the liar's
Yes.
paradox. This statement is
The liar
false. Is it
sentence.
true?
Yes.
That is it true or
I'm saying
false?
it's both true and false. Yeah. That's why it's a true contradiction.
It's
Anyway,
not because it depends on perspective. It's all on
okay.
perspective. That's why.
Okay, I don't know what you mean.
The liar's paradox sentence. This sentence is
Okay,
false.
Tom Take, I just want to go back to my conversation, by the way.
Okay,
So
go.
I was just telling against
You brought it
insanity
up.
what I. No, I brought it up because against insanity asked me a question in the side chat. So I just answered it. But God exists. Can we acknowledge that you're begging the question?
No,
Because okay, okay. So my view is that some contradictions are true, and you're saying that my view is false because it there are some contradictions that are true.
it's false
That's
because it
what you're
goes
saying.
against what logical systems are.
Correct.
Okay, okay, and yes, and I'm saying that there are some logical systems that include contradictions. So what's your response
Most
to that?
do.
That my response is that means it's outside the system because the system is a set of rules.
Okay, so can you answer my question about that? Because para-consistent systems contain contradictions. So to say that a view is false in virtue of it entailing a contradiction is just to beg the question.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, I mean, I'm not going to like continue the conversation if we Like there's no point because you're just begging the question against my view.
I'm not begging
So
the
I'm
question
not
at
going
all.
to. You are. You are.
No, I'm not.
You are.
No,
You are.
you're saying that something can be both consistent with the system and inconsistent with it.
That's a contradiction, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
not the only reason
And
that
what's
it's
the
wrong.
problem with contradictions? And what's the problem with contradictions?
The problem is that you're deriving a statement which is both inside the rules of your system and outside
Yes,
the
and
rules of your
that's
system.
just to state that it's a contradiction. Yes, that's just to state that it's a contradiction, right?
It's just an absurdity because you're deriving a
Yes.
statement. You're deriving a
Okay, what do
statement
you
which
mean
doesn't
by
follow.
absurdity? Can you define what an absurdity is before you go any further? Define what an absurdity is.
A statement which doesn't follow from your system.
Okay, it does follow from my system because my system includes contradictions.
It doesn't because you're not arriving at the
Okay.
statement through a set of rules.
Okay, yes, and my rules includes contradictions.
But you're
So
not
what's supposed
arriving
to be the
at
problem?
the statement through a set of rules.
It is aligning with it because it
No,
includes
you're not
contradictions.
arriving.
So it is aligning.
You're not arriving at it through the application of the rules.
Yes, I am. The applications of the rules is that there is no law of non-contradiction. That is the rules that it is
Okay,
applying to.
so what's the premise?
So yeah,
And how does the contradiction follow from the premise?
the contradiction. How
the
does the
premise.
contradiction? Okay, bro, I don't know what you're saying. Okay, so remember you said that my view before we go anywhere. You said that my view isn't violating my system, but my system allows for contradiction. So then it is consistent within its own view because it allows for contradictions.
No, it
That's
can't.
why
It can't be
that's why-
consistent.
Yes,
Because
Can I just say something?
it's outside
Okay.
the system itself, right?
Any
you're saying
it's
system
not
that-
outside the system. It's inside my system because inside my system allows for contradictions.
so inside
it's
means
incoherent?
outside. So on your system, inside
Okay,
means
I
outside.
understand. Toms, can you shut up? I don't need you to be chimping in the.
I'm
to
not.
the-
I'm
the
asking
conversation.
if you say that you have a system that allows for contradictions, your
Yes.
system is not coherent.
Okay, and to say that is just to beg the question, right? Because when you say something is coherent, it's just to say that it follows the law of non-contradiction, right? It doesn't contain a contradiction. But then that's just to beg the question.
How am I begging the question?
Like I guess I don't like I guess I want to go to someone else because it seems like you guys are either stupid or like you just want me to like waste my time. But yeah, I'm not going to continue wasting my time with you guys. But yeah,
Okay.
just keep in mind that you're begging
Bye-bye.
the question.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. So against insanity, what's up now? Like let me talk to you because these guys
I thought you were gonna
serious.
leave.
This is my room. Why would I leave my room?
Oh, okay.
What the fuck?
I mean, it'd be even nicer. It'd be even nicer.
Right, maybe take yourself out or close the door on your way out, bro. Yeah. Okay. Against insanity, what's up, bro? So you said, yeah, I gave you an example of a true contradiction. Yeah.
Okay.